You're listening to a Frequency Podcast Network production.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Welcome to Friday. My name is Brock.
I'm Dalby.
I just showed Dalby new up-and-coming rapper, Dave Blunts.
There are so many things about this person's existence that I can't believe. First of all, being that he is 460 pounds.
So Dave Blunts, he's a rapper that's gone viral because he sits on a couch. He has an oxygen machine with him, and he raps while sitting on the couch. And if you want to see a video, we'll throw one in like the podcast links.
Yeah.
The music's trash.
But it's not good. And we both do enjoy, like, outside of work, we enjoy rap music.
Yeah.
This is not good rap music.
No, it's not good at all. But the best part is like, it was like a month ago, he got in a beef with Snoop Dogg because Snoop Dogg was like, it's pathetic that you're sitting on the couch.
Which he's not wrong.
And then he called out Snoop Dogg.
Chicago, do y'all have a problem with me sitting down on this stage? Yeah. Exactly. Get the fuck off my dick, Snoop Dogg.
Get the fuck off my dick, Snoop Dogg.
My favorite part is he's like, y'all got a problem with me sitting on this stage? Yo, I would, because in the video, he's in like an arena show.
Yeah.
If you're watching this guy from behind on a couch, that sucks, man.
This is like when I went to see Bob Dylan play, and he came out to the crowd and then sat down at a piano with his back turned to all of us, and I was like, what the fuck are we doing here? Except instead of famed historic musician Bob Dylan, it's 23-year-old blob Dave
Dude, that's the crazy thing, is he's 23 years old, man. He's not even gonna make it to the 27 club.
Oh, absolutely not. 0% chance.
I don't know, man. There's something about going to a concert. It doesn't matter who it is. If you're sitting the entire time,
Yeah.
fuck you.
Right.
Seriously, I paid way too much money to watch some dude just sit down. Even when a comedian sits down on a stool, I'm like, no.
You gotta get up. You gotta pace around a little bit. You gotta make it a show. Because otherwise, I could have sat on my couch at home with my oxygen machine and just listened to Spotify, Dave.
If you want to see Dave Blunts, check the podcast. If you want to get into his music, that's up to you too, I guess.
We cannot recommend the second part. Absolutely not.
Can't put down the cup.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
I am absolutely stunned this morning. We played Tenacious D for Fire Me Up Fridays, and the amount of people texting in saying they hate Jack Black. What is going on?
Well, I mean, I feel like Jack Black's stock has never been lower since he got famous after the whole Trump thing last year. Remember the political stuff where like, it wasn't even him, and that's the bummer.
Yeah.
That's the bummer for him, but it was Kyle Gass, the other half of Tenacious
And then he
D.
canceled the tour because Kyle Gass said that he wished Trump had died.
Yeah, basically like, don't miss next time.
Is that what it is, though? That's really...
Well, I think it's a combination of that is obviously the people who like Donald Trump will turn on somebody real quick if they turn on Donald Trump, but also he kind of has a little bit of Nick Cage syndrome right now in that he'll take literally any movie. Like I made the joke earlier talking about the Minecraft movie. There are a lot of movies where Jack Black is in that are like set to come out or have come out recently that look terrible.
Is he becoming that guy? I always thought Jack Black was a national treasure.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, like, you want to talk about, like, hating national treasures, you hate Ryan Reynolds. A literal Canadian national treasure.
Ryan Reynolds just seems like a genuine dick. I feel like everything that you see of him being, like, this funny guy is all a facade.
He does have the stink of marketing on him.
Yeah.
100%. I give you that. I still think he's very funny.
I don't think he's genuinely funny. I think he's an a-hole, and it gets passed off as, like, humor.
Well, I think maybe that's why I like him. I get that sometimes, too.
I feel like if you've ever watched Waiting, I think that's the real Ryan Reynolds.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not a great character.
No, exactly. I used to like him, and I don't know what it is the past few years. It's kind of like Kevin Hart and all these guys where it's like they get shoved in your face too much.
Kevin Hart, I'm all the way over. Kevin Hart coming in a movie like the Borderlands movie. Borderlands is a video game series that I have loved for a long time. And as soon as he was on the poster, when they were like, we're making a movie, I was like, I'll never watch that. That sucks.
Kevin Hart and The Rock are the two guys that is like the international sign for I'm going to skip this movie now.
Dude, The Rock. Like, I don't understand, man. It was the Black Adam movie. Remember when he played that superhero?
Didn't bother watching
And
it.
nobody did. Nobody watched it. And he was like getting mad at people. He's like, this is the greatest superhero movie that's ever been made. Why is nobody going to watch it? It's like, because it sucks and we're over you.
It's either he's the most badass guy of all time, or if he's in a comedy, he's like, oh, I'm the big guy, but I'm a softie, and I'm so over The Rock. And I know he went back to wrestling and stuff.
And
but
he ruined that too.
Did he? Yeah.
They were building up all these storylines around The Rock leading to this year's WrestleMania. And now he's going back to film movies. So he's like, all right, guys, I'm out. Never mind.
He's another guy that feels fake, too. Like, he posts all these videos of, like, motivation.
Listen, nobody who eats an entire lake's worth of fish a day is a real person.
Yeah.
He's fake as hell, my guy.
I'd believe The Rock is an alien.
I would 100%. All the lizard people comparisons and conspiracy theories, that's the guy. Why are we looking at Zuckerberg? Why are we looking at Zuckerberg as the leader of the lizard people when it's clear that this weird-looking Tyrannosaurus Rex over here is clearly in charge?
Can you smell what The Rock is cooking? It's an invasion.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
When did wearing a helmet become not cool when you were a kid? I was reading an article. I guess the Summer Olympics are going to Australia in like 2032 or something like that.
Right.
And there's a bunch of cyclists right now that are petitioning or advocating for cyclists not to wear helmets in the 2032 Olympics. With a various amount of reasons, some saying like makes them more aerodynamic not having the helmet on. Others actually complaining for the fact that skateboarders didn't have to wear helmets at the Summer Olympics.
Oh, the ones in Paris this past year.
Which doesn't that feel like a little kid move?
Well, how come he can do it?
It was like when I noticed my sister wasn't wearing her helmet on her bike anymore. And I was like, "Wah."
You can't make me. That's not fair. I'm going to look like a nerd in front of all the skateboarders.
I don't know what age it was as a kid. All of a sudden, safety just went out the window, and it was super lame to wear a helmet.
Well, I'm trying to think, like, you asked the question, like, when did it become not cool to wear your helmet? And I think the answer legitimately is the first time I rode my bike in front of other people that I knew. Like, when I was learning to ride a bike, when you were learning to ride a bike, the helmet, it didn't matter if it was cool or not. You were falling so much that you were like, yeah, like, cover me up. But once you figured out how to ride the bike, as soon as you rolled up in front of your friends, you were like, oh no, I look like a nerd.
It sucked when you were the one kid wearing a helmet.
Absolutely. So you do the thing that every kid did if your parents were like really sticklers about the helmets, is you'd wear the helmet down to like the end of the driveway.
Yup.
You'd get past the first tree that blocked line of sight from the front window of your house, and then you ditch the helmet somewhere.
I'd see that at the skate park all the time growing up, man.
The helmet pile.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. There was a tree in my neighbor's house that was like overgrown enough that I could tuck the helmet in under there, and then I would just bike away.
Yeah.
And then I'd pick it up on my way home.
It's weird the things that you thought were cool when you were a kid, like just not having your helmet you thought made you cooler. It was like around the same time that everybody thought spitting was cool for me.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that.
There was
phase.
there was no reason at all. Everyone was just like,
yeah. All of a sudden, your like elementary school playground was like a Wild West tavern.
it was spitting, swearing, and not wearing helmets was like the coolest thing to do.
Okay, well, like swearing never got old. I still run that theory.
Spitting, swearing, not wearing helmets, and showing your boxers.
It really does feel like the Old West out here.
There was like a certain point where all of a sudden it was like pulling your pants down and showing half your ass was so sick.
See, I think that's a generational thing. I don't think my generation was ever like, yo, check out my gitch.
It was all things I thought was cool until my mom yelled at me.
And then you kind of went, oh, maybe not.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
We got a friend of the show, Keegan, on the phone. Dude, what's something you thought was super cool when you were a kid?
Oh, definitely rocking the crushed pop can in your bike tire.
Oh, trying to make it sound like a dirt bike?
Oh, yeah.
And, I still maintain, because the whole idea is like things that you thought were cool that weren't. I still think it was cool. As long as you didn't have to cover the cost of repairs to the tire.
Yeah. My dad sure didn't think it was cool.
No. Parents hated it.
Yeah, I get stuck in there and everything else.
I liked Eric's text because it's kind of, I feel called out a little bit. those silk-looking bowling shirts with the buttons with some kind of like flames on them.
Oh, dude.
The Guy Fieri specials.
Yeah.
I do remember getting one of those back when I was in high school and being like, I'm going to wear this every day.
We've got friend of the show, Chad, on the phone. Chad, what's something you thought was cool when you were a kid?
Oh, the crisscross pants for sure. Everybody wore their pants backwards.
Tell me you wore your clothes backwards at least a bit.
I did wear them back a little bit when I was in grade 7. Yeah.
We got it a little bit later up in the Northwest Territories than everybody else did, but I remember when it came out and I grabbed like a baseball jersey to try and put it on.
Oof.
And the only thing that stopped me from following the trend was I could not figure out to button it up before putting it on.
Oh, frig.
And I look like a woman trying to do up her bra, trying to button up my baseball jersey, and I went, screw it, I'm just gonna wear it normal.
That's hilarious.
Chad, I gotta ask, did your parents ever say anything to you before you left the house?
Not really, no. They knew my parents are kind of cool. They didn't really care.
Yeah.
I mean, just whatever. But yeah, like I say, then Stitches come out and they brand exhaust, and they brought the backwards proper jeans, but instead of zipping down to have a poop.
They always say that some styles come back. I'm interested to see when the crisscross backwards clothes comes back.
I hope it never comes back.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
This is pitiful. 1,000 people freezing their butts off waiting to worship a rat. What a hype. Groundhog Day used to mean something in this town. They used to pull the hog out and they used to eat it. You're hypocrites, all of you.
Don't forget, coming up on Sunday is Groundhog Day, the reason why the aliens don't talk to us.
It's just the most absurd thing, dude. I was looking at some lists of like Canadian groundhogs and stuff like that. I saw a stat that says over the last 30 to 40 years, it's been historically proven that groundhogs in Canada or their other species equivalents are only right about 37% of the time.
Yeah, because it's not a real thing.
They say 33% accuracy can occur by chance. So the rats are roughly 4% better than just waking up and guessing.
I do love it because I think there's like 16 different ones in the United States. And then here in Ontario alone, I think we have 4 of them.
Wiarton Willie is the biggest one.
Yeah.
Even though fully changed colors 3 years ago.
There's one named Charlie or something out in Woodstock, I think. Yeah.
And then you go out west. Like I remember when I was living and working in Alberta, everybody would talk about Balzac Billy, which... that's just fun to talk about. That's just great. There's a few in Quebec as well that I can't pronounce, like Le Marmotte and stuff like that.
I'm honestly surprised with how many groundhogs there are that this hasn't made its way onto like DraftKings or Bet365. Like you should be able to make a sick parlay and pick like which groundhogs see their shadows.
Start
and which
piecing
don't.
it together. Oh, see, and that you're right. That would be good. Not only being able to pick like 3 different groundhogs, but also having to say like shadow, no shadow, shadow.
Yeah.
The payouts would be ridiculous. Although the only thing I think that would keep the gambling sites from doing this is just what we said, that it is purely random. It is essentially a coin toss in every single one of
It's
these.
no more random than picking 10 football teams on a Sunday and praying to God that you're going to win $10,000 off of your $5 bet.
Imagine being the person that has to set the odds for like there's one in Nevada. It's like Mojave Max. It's a turtle that they do the whole Groundhog Day thing with. You're a dude sitting in an office in like Nevada. You're just like, all right, Mojave Max is going off at 5-1 today.
I'm just saying there's no difference on taking a guess on what Mojave Max or Joe Burrow is going to do. It's the exact same thing. The odds are the exact same.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
You remember towards the end of 2024, we kept talking about how much butter was being stolen in this province?
I have not stopped thinking about it since we first discussed it.
Butter theft has been a huge thing in Ontario for some reason.
The butter black market.
Yeah. The Peel Regional Police have just arrested 6 people yesterday after stealing what they believe is worth more than $60,000 worth of butter from grocery stores in Brampton alone.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. We did it. We got him.
Nay, because
Oh.
police say the investigation continues because that's just in Brampton. There was Guelph and all these other places.
This is just the tip of the Butterbird.
They say that they are continuing to investigate and you can expect more arrests.
Wow.
Yeah.
This whole butter ring is coming down.
And I know we joked about, the underground butter market ahead of Christmas. Is it all the Nonas trying to get all their baking done? Like, what is it? But I do want to know, like, are they supplying restaurants? Like, what's the deal here?
What's the end game, right?
Yeah.
Are people, because that's the thing. If it was just like, man, we're really seeing an uptick in people like shoplifting butter pats and stuff like that from the grocery store, you just write it off to like, inflation's after everybody. But they're stealing the butter in such high quantities, high values, and high amounts that it can't just be for personal use. So what's the next step in the butter pipeline?
Are they like Robin Hood where they're stealing from the rich and just giving butter to the poor?
They're
Like,
distributing it to like shelters and soup kitchens and stuff like that who need butter at this time of year.
I will say, I think there could be a great show or a movie in the works here, depending on like how all this breaks down. Because I mean, remember the maple syrup heist from not even 10 years ago?
That's right.
They turned that into a show with Jamie Lee Curtis, The Sticky.
I forgot about that.
I'm just saying we could have a great butter show on our hands. Smooth Criminals, maybe?
To curd and protect.
Yeah. I can't believe they stole butter. Spread too thin? That's a great title.
That's a fantastic
We got to trademark that one.
At the very least, that needs to be the name of the Netflix documentary that explains all of this 20 years from now.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Earlier this morning, we were talking about fashion trends that you used to be into that you think are super cringy now. We got this call from someone.
Acid wash skinny jeans and bright fluorescent windbreaker with multicolors.
I will say I never had the gams for the skinny jeans, even when my youth, but those windbreakers were cool. Man.
Everybody looked like an NBA coach.
Yeah.
Well, we were all trying to look like, that's cool, Zach and them from the...
Saved by the Bell.
Saved by the Bell, that's it.
No, what it was when you got the real, like, random colored ones, everybody looked like the parachute in gym class.
Yeah. The best part was trying to sneak out in one of those things.
The sound of your windbreaker swishing and your thighs chafing in the acid wash jeans.
Hey, thanks for chatting with us, man.
No problem. How it going?
Man, you want to talk about pants? Janko jeans.
Janko jeans was always something that was like, I wanted so bad, but we just did not have either the access in the territories or the money to like on shopping trips down to the Alberta to go buy them.
Janko jeans were ridiculous, and then I also grew up in that like scene kid era, going to Warped Tour of the skinny jeans.
Oh man, the skinny jeans was never an option. These dogs were too big for those sausage casings from
Squeezing
day one.
into pants was the most ridiculous thing as a guy. Like,
the best was always when you would see the kid who got the skinny jeans but had a bit of the muffin top. So they would wedge the bottom half into the skinny jeans and then just kind of like bloop, down over the belt.
Yeah. Tearaway pants was another one. Tearaway pants were nice, but you had the huge risk of getting pantsed at school.
Here's the thing, because if we're talking about stuff that used to be cool and now you look back and you go, no, I don't think tearaway pants got less cool. I just think we overvalued them at the time. They're still perfectly good if you're going to the gym or if you're doing physical activity.
If you've gone to a Harlem Globetrotters game in the past 10 years, they look sick.
Right. But we were wearing them everywhere back then. Like, you'd be going out to places that were, I mean, as far as being a kid, as formal as you could get, you'd be wearing button track pants.
Gotta wear your nicest button up, right?
And you'd be running past one another just constantly. Like, your buddy would chirp you, and what would you do? You wouldn't go for the whole pant, but you'd get them right around the lower thigh.
We got someone else calling in here now. Hey, you got something you want to add?
Thinking it was the LA Gear shoes. I don't know if people remember those. I never owned a pair, but every kid
in my class was craving these light-up shoes, and I thought they were the worst-looking things ever. I mean, if you saw these things in a gym class, it would almost give you epilepsy because of the amount of flashing going on.
I will say it is interesting because it's like kids want light-up shoes, and then people who do lots of drugs and go to raves want light-up shoes as well.
You are not wrong. You are not wrong.
You know what's crazy, though, is like light-up shoes were the hot ticket item when we were all kids, and it's only gotten more ridiculous. Like shoe shopping for my kids the last few years, if they don't light up in some sort of brain-numbing pattern, they're just like, pass.
Oh, it's not only that. Now you got the shoes with wheels on it. I just don't know exactly what the next crazy fashion statement's going to be.
Okay, be careful, because Brock's a big Heelys guy.
Hold on, my mom would never buy me Heelys, and I've always wanted them, so slow your roll, pal.
Just be sure to wear your helmet like our parents always told us back in the day.
The Brock and Dobby Podcast.
We got a text from friend of the show, Jessica, and she said, what trends do you think the kids are rocking right now that they're going to think are super cringe as they get older?
You're going to look at me with disdain in your eyes, but I'm going to say it. One of these days, you're all going to realize that this Croc thing sucked.
I don't know, man. Society keeps getting lazier and lazier. I don't think Crocs are ever going to go out of trend.
We will get lazier. I will agree with that. But at some point, I feel like we're going to look back and be like, oh, those, I mean, they're undisputably ugly. We just wear them because, what else are we going to do?
It's comfort. It's like sweatpants. You know, we were talking about how tearaway pants was a trend, but if you wore sweatpants out in public...
Oh, dude.
That was almost kind of a shameful thing. Like, it was like, wow, you're really being lazy today.
Dude, one of the things I got bullied for in school was being like grade 7 and wearing sweatpants to school because I didn't like the comfort of jeans.
Everything's so casual now. Like, sweatpants is a huge thing with the youth of today.
You see, like, some of these big red carpet... Well, maybe not the red carpet, but like some of these big media events that like actors and actresses and athletes and stuff, athletes roll into buildings and it's not the old suit and tie from Hockey Night in Canada. They're wearing massively oversized hoodies and sweatpants.
You know, what kills me more than Crocs and sweatpants ever will is the fact that socks and sandals is a trend with the kids, and I hope that dies off, man.
Dude, socks and sandals, and then it's even worse because you add in the sweatpants tucked into the socks, wedged into a pair of Birkenstocks.
With a bucket hat on, they're dressed like my dad.
And they're heading out into 6 feet of snow. You're just squishing all day. That's your whole day booked. It's disgusting.
I will say the broccoli haircut that's going on right now, I think that's going to be a big one that's going to be regretted.
Yeah, but I mean, is it any worse than any of the other kid hairstyles along the way? Like, you think about, like, mullets or, like, speed lines shaved into the side of the head.
No
like,
doubt, yeah.
The first 16 years of your life are for figuring out what not to do with your hair, and then you go from there.
The broccoli cut right now is what the mushroom cut was.
Yeah.
That's what, right?
Eventually, you're going to see people doing, like, 2020s parties, and they'll do the mushroom haircut as, like, a fun throwback. Like, oh, remember when we did this on purpose?
I think in general, just, like, all the kids are on social media. Like, I grew up when Facebook was starting out.
Yeah.
I can tell you, everything that I ever posted when I first got Facebook is gone. But all these kids that have TikTok and Instagram, like, their whole life is out there. They're going to be so embarrassed by the time they turn 19, 20.
Dude, if you want to see, like, embarrassing pictures of me as a kid or the dumb things that I did, you need to make friends with my mom. Whereas, like, my kids' generation, and I keep my kids off, they're not allowed to have their own social media. But that generation is going to grow up, and if you want to see the embarrassing stuff they did, you just have to log in, sort by date. Like, their whole embarrassing teen years are being cataloged by the Chinese military. Like, what are we doing here?
I don't know if there's a kid in the car listening, going to school right now, but everything that you're doing right now is embarrassing.
The Brock and Dobby Podcast.
The Brock and Dobby Podcast.
Just my baby on the treetop. When the wind blows, that's right. La 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 la.
All right, it's time to play the lullaby game. Where we take a song that you should know, turn it into a lullaby, and if you can tell us the song or the band, you'll win $100 in Lotto Max ticket for tonight's jackpot.
I once again maintain my firm grip on being the worst contestant at this game. I did not get today's song, so I am hopeful that one of you will be much better at it than I was.
I do feel like it is an easy one once I told you to.
That was, as soon as you said it, I was like, oh, yeah. But I didn't get there on my own.
We'll find out. We have 3 contestants on the line. If they all fail, we will reopen up the phone lines, but it all starts with caller number 1. Hey, good morning. Who's this?
It's April.
How you doing this morning, April?
I'm not too bad at all. How are you?
We're doing good. You understand how the game works, right?
Yes, I do.
All right, here we go. What do you think, April?
I couldn't even get that one.
No, I got nothing.
The person in the background is like, you're on your own.
That's 2 people that couldn't figure it out. All right, take care, guys. All right, we move on here. Caller number 2, what's your name?
Tom.
Tom, all right, here it is. Tommy boy, you got any answers for us?
No, I don't think so.
Damn.
All right, take care. Everyone who's getting it wrong, you're going to give your head a shake once you get it right.
It is one of those ones that with the beauty of hindsight, you'll go, oh!
Hey, good morning. Who's this?
Hey, it's Bruce.
Bruce, here's the clip. What are we thinking, Brucey?
Okay, I'm thinking Rock and Roll by Zeppelin.
Ooh.
Okay, no, I hear what you're hearing.
It's not Rock and Roll
It's
by
not
Zeppelin,
it,
though.
but that's not a bad guess.
Take care, Bruce. It's not Zeppelin either.
No,
I'll say that. I'll
just
nip that
fully
in the
cut
butt.
Zeppelin out.
Caller number 4, what's your name?
Oh, it's Suzanne.
Suzanne, here we go. What are we thinking, Suzanne?
Is it Black Sabbath Paranoid?
Damn right it is. She get the ding. The round of applause.
Very nicely done.
You're smarter than everyone else, and $100 in Lotto Max tickets is all yours.
Cool.
This is the Brock and Delby Podcast.
Yesterday, Donald Trump did announce that the 25% tariffs will come into effect starting tomorrow for Mexico and Canada.
Yeah, which means you'll probably start to see the effects of that in the goods that you purchase by next week easily, I would say.
I mean, I guess just another reason, buy Canadian products, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is you're really going to have to keep an eye on the labels and the logos and stuff like that. Stuff that's made, produced, built, everything in Canada will stay or should stay the same price.
I will say he did put the 25% tariffs on, except oil, because, of course, he still wants cheap crude.
Well, yeah, that's the whole argument there. It'll be interesting to see what Canada's response is, whether they're going to strike back with tariffs of their own. The problem is that this is now officially a pissing contest between the American government and the Canadian government at all levels, to be honest, because we're seeing a lot of the premiers speaking up all across the country. But it's their pissing contest, but we're the ones that will suffer, us and our American counterparts who are also not in the government, as everything gets more expensive, which, as we all know, is what we've been asking for as citizens. We want to pay more money for stuff, right?
I say we block all the trucks coming to and from Alaska.
You also say we should just take Alaska.
This is how we do it.
You've been very vocal that we just take Alaska.
What are they going to do? It's all the way up there.
Well, yeah, it's a pretty cushy statement to make from all the way down here.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The Brock and Delby Podcast.
Ed's word of the day.
Let's see what he's got.
Good morning. Today's word, gumption. Yep, gumption. 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 And it's enterprise or initiative or common sense. That's not that common anymore, that's for sure. Anyways, that just about does it. Have a great one. Cheers. You're up.
I don't know that I've ever heard common sense be tied in with gumption. It's mostly just like
initiative and resourcefulness.
Got some get up and go. Look at the gumption on this kid. You know?
Yeah.
When you see somebody putting in the extra work around the office or around the job site,
it's gumption. Yeah,
full of gumption. This guy.
I think you could use it like when you're hanging out with the fellas, and there's that one guy who restocks the beer fridge before the last beer is taken. That'd be gumption.
That would be gumption. You'd love to see the gumption on a guy.
Or like the kind of guy that brings an extra lighter when he goes out because he knows someone's probably going to steal his. That's gumption.
That's true. Yeah. Or sitting on a park bench with a box of chocolates offering it to strangers. Also gumption.
Technically.
I'm sorry. I won't apologize for that joke, but that's great.
I'd say another one is like the guy who knows not to park the work vehicle outside the bar because it has a GPS tracker.
The guy that would park it up the street and walk 3 blocks?
That's gumption.
Gumption right there.
Gumption. Use it wherever you can. And if you don't know, your work vehicle probably does have a GPS in it.
They know what you've been doing.
For more Brock and Dalby, tune in weekday mornings 5:30 to 9.
The Brock and Dalby podcast is brought to you by badshop.ca, the Brock and Dalby merch store, with all proceeds going to the Canadian Cancer Society.